Now, we're sat here in Yorkshire, and there's another well-established ratings form organisation, Timeform. How would your ratings compare to them, or do you not compare them at all? I mean, what's the difference?
Well, all their ratings are on the same scale as official ratings, so you can compare like for like pounds and lengths and stuff. The two main ratings that I have in mind, my speed figures, are raw unadjusted speed figures. They're not there's no weight accounted for them. You can add weight into them, and some members do. And then the other main rating that we create is like a prediction rating. So whereas a Timeform rating or a Racing Post rating would carry on through its career, and you would see the rating move with its progress, the ratings we create are basically a prediction rating for that day, and then when that day is finished, they're worthless. So we're just trying to predict that one race, and then they're gone. You can look back at all the past ones. I think the main difference, though, regardless of them, when you're betting on them, is that the two mainstream suppliers, Timeform and Racing Post, their ratings are just saturated. They're saturated everywhere. Everybody's seeing them all of the time. The bookmakers have got them on their websites. They wouldn't have them on the websites if people were making money off the back of them. There's no value in them. Bookmakers won't have my ratings on the website. I've asked to get my stuff on some bookmakers' websites, and I've actually been knocked back by a major bookmaker because they don't want to be associated with my data because it will make the punters profitable. Some punters, not everybody. Some punters are just going to lose. It's just in their nature. But they knocked me back because they don't want them on there.
That would have been a not that great a business move, really, would it, if you'd actually done that?
No, probably not. No. So I do have. There is a slimmed down version of some of the Proform stuff on the BetDAC website, but it doesn't use the main two ratings that members get. It uses two slightly variations of them that are still profitable. Especially the main rating on the BetDAC one, it is still profitable at evening price bog and at morning price bog, if you can keep the accounts, but it's not as profitable as the ones that members get.
And is there any lateral thinking involved with your ratings, or is it all purely factual based?
So yeah, it's a slightly complicated process. The main rating is created from 7 other ratings. The 7 other ratings have got all the usual suspects in, like trainer form and jockey form course and horse form and all sorts of things like that. They've all got various stuff in. But then the final rating's created using a method called neighbourhood analysis that finds the best matches for all the ratings. So there's a little bit of lateral thinking there to come up with the final figure. And that one is definitely better than the rest of the ratings. So that by doing that, it's created quite a good figure. But there's nothing, it uses my speed figures in them. But other than that, it's using everything that's, if you had the time and the programming skills, it's all readily available to be able to try and create your own ratings.
Yeah. So if somebody's looking at, they're thinking about dipping a toe in and subscribing, what would you suggest a new person using Proform should concentrate on initially?
Right. So if you've still got bookmakers accounts, then you're going to better straight off the bat use some of the stuff we already provide. I think when I install the software, if you purchase and get the full package and get the software now, it installs like 7 systems. It's the 7 systems that I think are the best ones. And it might turn out to be 10 or 15 selections a day. And if you've got bookmakers accounts and put them on, then you'll cover your subscriptions easily. Might not in the first, you might have a bad run in the first month. But subscriptions are 2 months long. And the reason I make subscriptions, it's 8 weeks. The reason the minimum subscription is 8 weeks is you need at least 8 weeks to learn it. What I find with most people who come and try it is they don't even install it for the first 6 weeks. And then when they do install it, it's so massively daunting that then the subscription's passed, feel like they've wasted the money. So I would say if you're going to subscribe, you've got to have a time period to commit to learn it. There's a lot. I mean, I've done about 300 training videos. That it's just all there. It's all there on the website, even if you're not a subscriber. And people just need to give it time to do it. But you can straight out of the box, you can back some systems, and assuming you don't start with a losing month, then you're going to cover your subs. I would say 80% of people though pay for it and don't really try it, and then don't resubscribe.
Now I've got a friend who's a subscriber, and he's asked me to ask this question. Can you explain what PRB is and why is it so important? It's something unique to your system, your Proform.
Yeah, it's unique in mine at the moment. So this is something that James Willoughby has used on racing TV, and he was widely known that he uses Proform as well. And we've discussed quite a lot of mathematical things in the past. And PRB is the percentage of rivals beaten. So you're basically looking at, when you look at an horse and a race it's running, if an horse has had 10 races and won 2 of them, or say won 5 of them, then it's got a 50% strike rate. What percentage of rivals beaten does, it allows you to look at each race and see how many runners it beat in that race, and then you can basically create a percentage of how many it's beaten in each race, and then take an average of them percentages, and you end up then, instead of a strike rate, you've got a percentage of rivals beaten over them 10 races, and it's a much better predictor than strike rate is. So if you're looking at a race and you've got all these horses that have got career strike rates of 10, 12, 13, 14, 15%, and then you've got the percentage rival beatens as well alongside them, the higher figures on the PRBs are a much better predictor than the strike rates are, and we mathematically can examine that and see that they are. So I think it just gives you a little bit more of an edge than just looking at strike rates, because you can predict the future a bit better using PRB.
Okay, obviously it's very sort of complicated formula you use. Could it be transferred to other sports? So could you sort of use it for greyhounds or football even?
Yeah, greyhounds are definitely fit in. The way I've written all the software and stuff is, if you can get it into the right format, then the software just sort of work around it. There's going to be some issues and changes, because in greyhounds, you've got all the time trials and things like that. But it definitely be able to do other jurisdictions, other codes of racing, Australian, South African, American. You could do all of that, and Proform would sort of fit around it once you've done all the initial work. A big barrier to entry is the cost of data. Cost of data for anything is expensive, whether that's football or anything. I think it'd work really well for golf. I think the percentage of rival beatens could actually be a really good angle on golf, of how they've beaten other people in the field. It's just getting the data, and then the time to actually being able to program it is the main problem. I suppose I could employ a massive team and then branch out to all of the countries in the world, but I'm trying to get a balance of earning money from subscriptions and having a family life. I mean, you've got 5-year-old twins. You want to spend as much time with them as you can, and not spend all of your time writing software.
I also understand with the fruits of your labour, you've invested in bloodstocking at some point, or you've had shares in horses.
Yeah. So that came about with Chris Dixon and his brother Martin and Richard Oils, and they've used the software for quite a long time, and was buying an horse quite a few years ago and asked me if I wanted to be involved, and we created a partnership called the Rod in Pickle Partnership, and I think there was only 5 or 6 of us in, and the first horse we got was an horse called Miyako, and that got a few place races, and I think it only won for us. I can't remember how many times it won. I think it was just once. But the feeling of when that won, it was at Southwell, because we have them with Mick Appleby. And on the back of that, I ended up sponsoring Mick Appleby's stable, and I still do. And I actually now also sponsor Mickey Hammond's stable this year for the first time. But that was brilliant. The feeling of getting a winner when we were all there at the races was great. And so we progressed and got another horse, an ex-Gosden horse. Miyako had quite a lot of problems. He had bad backs and stuff. So we didn't make any money that we shared out with that horse. He was quite a low-grade horse. We sold him on. I think he went to Q8. And strangely enough, all of the horses have ended up there that I've had. And then we got another one out of Gosden's yard that had a bad back. We got a win out of that. That one ended up in Q8. And then the best one we got one called Superstar. No R on the end, and he was just amazing. I think he had 7 wins and won 80,000 in prize money. and that was the last one that I was involved with, Chris and stuff. I did miss a bit of a trick. They asked me if I wanted to get involved when they had, I can't remember what it was called now. I think it was 2 horses, Akam and the winner of the Silver Cambridgeshire a few years ago that they had. And I had the chance to get involved with them, and I just sort of thought, I'll just stick out of ownership for a bit. And so I said no. And now they've had Big Country, Point Zero. I said I've been like sitting pretty as an owner. Had some great days out, and I missed out on all of that. I'm still kicking myself for not doing that. I think they sold the Cambridgeshire winner to America for a lot of money. So I've missed a bit of a trick there. I have now got another one at Mickey Hammond's with Andy Gibson via these Cheltenham Trail stuff. It's like a syndicate we're in. And he didn't run all last season because the ground was just never right for him, so we just put him away, waiting for because it was such a dry winter ground in the jumps, we just never got him to run. But I've been really lucky. I think the entire ownership of them 3 horses, I think it probably cost me over 7 years something like £4,000 or £5,000 in total. All of the prize money he won just kept going back into the training fees. And at the end, I think I got about 3,000 back, because it was when we sort of disbanded it. So I think I've been very lucky as an owner, really, in comparison to others. But it's good fun.
Now look, just looking at the ratings again, constantly evolving new ideas. Is that just something that comes naturally now? You keep looking for new angles.
Yeah. So like we've just added the PRB stuff in. I'm evolving the race guides a bit. I'm going to try and make them so it's a little bit more like a form book. I always trying to make it so it works for backers or for traders. So there's quite a lot of stuff in for traders in the software. I think in-play trading's really taking off even more now. So I'm trying to write things that'll give people better data for in-play trading. And then I'm looking at sectionals, because now they're starting to become a bit more widespread and you can get the data. So I had the data last year, but I've not done anything with it yet. So I'm sort of possibly might introduce sectional timings for all weather races this coming winter. And then there's just so much more. It's 25% complete is the software. I've been doing it 20 years. I'm not sure I'll ever finish it, but I've got a list of development ideas of like 80, 90 different things. Some of them are going to make big differences to people, and some of them minor things. And I just, in the winter, I'll just do loads of programming and add more stuff in. So I just do that every winter. I try and enhance it and add something that's going to give people an edge. And that's what I've always done. I'm just trying to make it so it's good data that gives you an edge in betting that nobody else has got. And if you put the time in, you still need to put the time in. You can't just press a button. It's never going to be that. But if you put the time in and use the data, then there's people, still making a lot of money out of it.
Now you say, interestingly there, that nobody else has got. Do you ever regret not just sitting on this and keeping it totally to yourself and making a fortune anonymously?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably what I should have done right at the beginning. The problem at that point, because that was a time when I could have made a lot of money, I think, using the ratings. Although I've not developed the final rating at that point. That's only 10 years old, is that rating. So the first 10 years it might have been difficult. But when I first developed that rating, I do remember somebody approaching actually, and they didn't want me to sell it, they wanted to buy that rating from me. And I said no. I'm not sure that would have been a good idea or not. But I think when I first developed the rating, I should have just backed them while you could still get on, to an extent. And I probably could have for 5 years made I think. But it just never. It was always about the subscriptions had built up. It was always about subscribers really and providing data to them. I think I could have made a lot of money the first 5 years. I didn't. I went down the subscription route, and it sort of took me quite a long time to get to where I am. But I don't think I could do it. I don't think you could do it now. I don't want to chase my tail trying to find new accounts all the time.
Okay, Simon Walton, thank you very much.